Greetings and peace and love. You're now tuning to 13signsastrology.com, where we keep you updated on astrological placements, facts, and just all the details dealing with these heavenly bodies that tend to cause chaos and sometimes order here on this particular planet called Tiamat. On this particular episode, I'm going to talk about a transit that's taking place right now. Venus is going retrograde. Time for the lovers. You might be reminiscing about a flame, a twin flame that you lost contact with. You might be grieving the loss of a lover. You might be having a past life experience pertaining to a love that you experienced in another life. And you're like, who is this woman or who is this man? She's so beautiful. He's so handsome. But I don't know this person in real life. Where is this coming from? This is all coming from Venus being in retrograde. I did a consultation for a particular brother, and he was telling me about a situation that he experienced. And in this situation, he experienced a female that kept coming to him over and over again. He could not understand who this female was, why she was choosing to come to him, how his mind could even conceptualize what was going on. And we got to looking at his natal chart and looking at a few things, and come to find out he was going through a past life experience. It wasn't dealing with Venus in retrograde, but it was dealing with some planetary configurations that were going on in his natal chart. And I bring this up because it's always good to speak to a fellow comrade, or speak to someone that goes through like deep dream type astral experiences where they see people and they speak to people that may have told them that they're dead, and they had no idea that this person was dead in real time, but they'll come into them in their dream and they'll tell them some things, and then in real time they'll get a chance to meet this particular person, or they'll get a chance to find out information about what this person told them in their dream. Now, when you experience this and when you get like real clear visions and you have a lot of clarity in your dreams, you got to know that it's much more than a dream for you. You may be like some type of a medium. You may be some type of an empath. See, everybody that's walking around here is not the same. Like, we're not all the same when it comes to our inner experience. Like, you may see me physically and I may piss like you and shit like you, like to screw like you, and experience the same sexual experiences and things like that. But at the end of the day, I may be different, or you may be different from me, because what's going on internally and the inner mechanics of what's going on with me internally may be different. And this is where the natal chart really comes in at, as far as understanding who you are in your natal chart. You may be a medium, you may be a magician. There's a big difference. You may be a psychic, you may be an empath. And these are all different things. I'm going to do videos on these things, but it's good for you to understand what's going on in your natal chart to know exactly who you are. If you're empathic, you have more of a connection with Pisces. If you're a magician, you have more of a connection with Leo. If you're a psychic, you have more of a connection with Cancer or other water signs. You may have more connection with even Scorpio, or a Fucus. For the psychics out there, you may be all of the above. But at the end of the day, it's all about really tapping into your natal chart and learning about what's going on inside of you. When you meet a person and you go on a date with the person and you get to know a person, it's hard to really get to know about the inner depths and the inner mechanics of what really motivates this person, what drives this person, without really understanding this person's natal chart. Either that, or you're going to have to spend a great deal of or a whole lot of time dealing with this person, a whole lot of time communicating with this person to really get to know this person. So that's why when I do these videos on these different transits and I'm talking about them, that's why they're important. Like, that's why everyone should really tune into these particular segments when I do these videos, because it's good for you to know what the planets are doing in your natal chart. Because not only do you have the natal planets in your natal chart, and those are the planets as they were basically configured when you were born. It's basically, the natal chart is a still picture of the planets when you were born, exactly the way they were configured, the sacred geometrical patterns that they made and everything. That's basically what the natal chart is. So not only do you have that, but then you have the transiting planets, and this is the planets that are moving throughout your natal chart on a day-to-day basis. So when I talk about different retrogrades, I just kind of want to help people to really enter over and understand what I'm talking about. So with the Venus being in retrograde, it's going to, for one thing, on a cosmic level, it's going to bring a lot of Pleiadian energy to the planet, and we're actually in it right now. I'm doing this video kind of like 6 days late because it started about 6 days ago. It started on December the 20th, and it goes all the way up to January the 29th, January the 29th, 2014. So this is how long this transit lasts for. So it brings a lot of, I love this transit, this Pleiadian transit and this Venus transit, because it brings a lot of love to this planet. I didn't even realize when I did the last video on love that I was tuning into that energy as well. So it brings a lot of memories of lovers and experiences that you may have had in past lives with lovers. Because if you know anything about the Pleiadians, they're very scientific, very cosmic beings, but they're loving, very loving beings. But when Venus goes retrograde, what happens is that love can easily turn into jealousy. It can turn into maliciousness. It can turn into war. So when Venus goes retrograde, it puts a lot of emphasis on Venus in general, because when a planet goes retrograde, what happens is that a red light beams onto the planet from that particular planet that you're dealing with. So from our planet going all the way out to Venus, there's an imaginary, I mean, this is all cosmic, but there's a 4D, you can call it like a 4D red light that beams onto this planet, and it causes an activation of love on the planet, and it can cause an activation of jealousy, lovers, quarrels, war. But it can also bring back a lover into your life. It can also, attract one back that you may have been thinking about it. You guys may have separated some kind of way, and you might get a chance to actually connect back with this person. And if you do, because I went through this on the last Venus retrograde, the last time that I experienced Venus retrograde, from what I remember, was in 2012. And I remember connecting with a particular person that I know for sure. I didn't meet her in this life, but I know for sure I knew her in a past life. And I met her during the Venus retrograde. It was a beautiful experience. And I wish I really would have took better opportunities of meeting this person, because me and this person had a real deep connection or whatnot. And I'm still cool with this person to this day. We're friends, and it's not anything deep like that, now. But what happened was we picked up on this Venus retrograde transit, and it was amazing, man. The experience was amazing. Just being able to connect with this particular female and to experience everything I experienced. It was definitely a lot of past life memories and a lot of magical stuff going on during that time or whatever. So if you get a chance to experience something like that, take advantage of the magic that you can get out of connecting with someone that actually came back from your past life to meet you during this transit. I mean, it's like a once in a lifetime experience. It's not always a time where you're going to get a chance to experience something like that. So, just for people that come into your life in general, don't take them for granted. The people that are around you every day, this is something that I realize more and more as I get older. Don't take people for granted. Like we take people for granted a lot here in the Matrix. I mean, you come home every day, you see your lover, or you might, some people might live with their parents, for the younger people out there, or, you might live with your children. You see them every day and you take them for granted. And during Venus retrograde, this gives you a chance to really go into retrospect and really go into thinking about why you cherish someone, why you value someone, because Venus is in Sagittarius. So this time the retrograde is in Sagittarius, so it's going to get very philosophical. I believe it's in 28 degrees Sagittarius. As far as, I need to check that, because I want you guys to know where exactly Venus is retrograde at. And it's retrograding actually 32 degrees Sagittarius. So it's going to get real, this is the good time to really understand love on a philosophical level, because Sagittarius are very philosophical. Sagittarius I have a lot of Sagittarius energy in my chart. We're thinkers, and we're broad thinkers. So we don't really get caught up on a lot of the details, which is good and bad. It's good because we don't get stuck. We get to see the grand scheme of things. A Sagittarius is a person that can see the forest instead of seeing the trees. A Sagittarius usually has an overstanding, instead of having an understanding. When you have an understanding, you're limited. Geminis have a really good understanding though, because Gemini is the opposite of Sagittarius. And that's where I believe the last Venus retrograde took place, that it was a Gemini. But it's a really good time to kind of like just look at how do you feel about love? Do you even know what love is? Like a lot of people, especially us men and women, here in the Matrix is not really taught. Love is very abstract to us in the Matrix, and the only way we look at love is what somebody gave us, or it becomes very physical, who we sleeping with every day, or things of that nature. And for me, this Venus retrograde has been making me really cherish past lovers, past flames that I've been with or whatever. And it's really two in particular that I've really been thinking about a lot. And I'm really just actually three. I'm really just valuing the time that I experienced with these women, um, the lessons that I learned from these particular women. One of these women I actually had a child with, and I'm really, just thinking about the good things that she taught me and how like I really wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for her. And I mean, we went through some real bad experiences, like like on a mundane level, you look at that like this relationship was real messed up, man, like real bad. But then when you get in the Venus retrograde energy, it's been showing me how good the relationship actually was. And I'm not reminiscing to a point where I'm regretting, because I mean, you don't really want to have regrets because everything happens for a reason. And if it's really meant for you to be with the person, you can attract them back. You can do love rituals, so you never want to regret letting the person slip out of your hands or whatever. Because if that person left, that's what was meant to happen at that time. Now, when the Venus retrograde comes, you can reflect, and maybe the universe will give you a blessing and you'll be able to attract back this particular person in the future. Or maybe it's not meant to attract back that person. Maybe it was just a lesson in and of itself, so that you can meet someone that may correspond with that person. They may have the same energy as that person, and maybe the Venus retrograde is going to prepare you to meet that person. So it's a good time to really rethink how you view love. It's a good time to rethink how you deal with material things, because Venus also deals with materialism. So it's a good time to rethink, because it actually rules money as well. It's one of the money planets. Both of the money planets are actually in retrograde. Jupiter is another one of the money planets, but this is the greater fortune, Jupiter. And Jupiter is retrograde too. So a lot of people might be experiencing financial trouble right now. And you might be like, what's going on? It's a good time to rethink how you deal with money. Are you a miser? Do you hold on to your money? Do you try to control people with money? Because Venus goes into wars and stuff over things, over material things. So are you warring with people over money and things of that nature? So it's a good time to really just question how we deal with material things. I mean, we got to remember, here in the Matrix, we don't even really deal with money. That's another thing. We deal with fiat notes, which is different. So you have to question that. Like, do you have an understanding of what money is versus fiat notes? Do you need to get more of an education on economics and the way economics works? Because most of us, our concept of money is maybe your father or your mother gives you a debit card, and that's your concept of money. If you got credits on a debit card, that's your money. A lot of people don't have a concept of money in a sense of gold, and having, money in a sense, because money is actually anything that's backed by something. That's truly what money is. Anything that's not backed by something will be considered credit or fiat notes. And then you have paper money, then you have plastic. So a lot of people just don't have a concept of money, and like, you got to think about, okay, when I got the credit card, I might spend more money, but then when I keep the greenbacks in my pocket, I spend less money. Or you might think about how you're going to save money. You might look at it like, okay, I could save money in the bank, or I could save money by investing into something that's going to accumulate more wealth. Or I could just go and we used to call it, me and my cousin or whatever. This is funny. We used to call our savings our dope fiend stash, because like, this was back in the day when dope was were prevalent or whatever, and we would call it the dope fiend stash or whatever, like, because we would put our monies into a dope fiend stash. Like, that's basically where you got your money up under a mattress somewhere. And that money is cool because it's not in banks, and a lot of people say we need to go back to that, but that money's not really protected. Your house could burn down, anything like that. Then on top of that, your money's sitting there and it's not really doing anything. So is that really a good way to save money? So some people, they don't even know what saving money is. Some people don't even have a concept of saving money. So during Venus retrograde, it's a good time to think about how you deal with material things, to think about how you deal with money. Uh, Another good thing for Venus in retrograde, last thing I'll talk about or hit on, is a good time to think about your appearance, to think about some people may say, for instance, if you may be an actor, or you may be some form of personality on television, you may have one appearance, you may come off looking one way, and you wonder why people treat you a certain way. And it's because you look like, you dress like a certain type of way, and that's why people are treating like. You may dress real glamorous, and you're like, I really don't want people to treat me like I'm some sedity glamour chick. I get tired of people not looking at the inner me. How come people always see me for, like, just like the way I look and like the way I dress and things like that? It's because maybe you need to like downplay your dress. Sometimes it's good to be incognito. Like, I'm a type person where, I mean, to be honest with you, I could really be rich. You never really know like my situation, but at the end of the day, I don't really walk around here like looking like any. I don't try to like walk around looking like no glamorous person, because I don't want people to, when they first look at me, to get an idea of me being some type of a dude that's got like all of this money. Some people, they want that, and then they attracted attention, and they wonder why people trying to rob them and why people trying to stalk them. See, I downplay myself. I dress in a way, especially when I'm out, to where like, I mean, I'm just dressed like the average person or whatever. I mean, I was taught by a Jewish man when I was like real young or whatever. A Jewish man taught me how to carry myself. He was like, young man, one day you're going to be real wealthy and rich. He was like, but the thing is that you got to know how to carry yourself. He was like, you see me? And this guy was, I mean, he worked at a library. You would have never thought he was rich. He actually had a job, a regular common job. He wore khakis every day to work. He may have wore like a polo shirt or something like that. And he only had a few of them. And the dude used to be going around picking up pennies and doing all kind of stuff. But he taught me a lot of principles on how to be like wealthy versus being rich. Because being rich is like, it's like rich food. It tastes good. It looks good. Like sweets. Sweets are rich food. Like eating a lot of desserts and lobster and steak. We call that like rich man's food. That doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. Now, healthy food is like wealthy food. That's what I call it. Like, your health is your wealth. So healthy food, it may not look good. You might be like, well, that kale salad don't really look like, I really don't want to eat that or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's real healthy for you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to help you. It's wealth, because over time you could save it, and it's going to accumulate. It's going to make your vigor increase. It's going to make your vitality increase. So that's why it's good to really understand the difference between being rich and being wealthy. So back to Venus, as far as your appearance or whatever, it's a good time to rethink your appearance. Sometimes it's good to look rich. Maybe you're in a situation where you're going to go meet with a bunch of people that's sedity and uppity, and if you looking all down and you don't really, like, have clothes or whatever in your closet to look good and to, to look the part of the party or the event that you're at, and maybe you do need to step it up or whatever. So Venus being retrograde is a good time to just think about your overall appearance and how you're coming off to people and things of that nature. So it's a really good time, man. Like I said, a lot of Pleiadian energy. The Pleiadians, a lot of wars was fought actually in the Pleiadian star constellation. That's what a lot of people don't realize, because the reptilians, at one point, occupied and controlled the Pleiadian star constellation before a lot of the more humanoid extraterrestrials were able to push a lot of them off. And then before them, the Syrians actually came and occupied Pleiadians before the reptilians. And over time, the reptilians came to the Pleiadian star constellation and began to run the Syrians off. So the Pleiades star constellation is one of the most deepest star constellations that really connects with Earth. And the Pleiadians are probably the most concerned when it comes to us Americans here in the shores of North America, us making the shift. Because I spoke with a chief, one of the Native American chiefs, Indian chief or whatever, and he was speaking on how basically most of the Native Americans connect more so with the Pleiades star constellation, and the beings of Pleiades in general come to us here in North America, and this is because this was always considered the new world. Whatever happens here in America, and I'm not trying to sound egotistical to my international family out there and things like that, but whatever happens here in America really sets the tone for the rest of the world. And the fact that we're not really right here in America right now is really the reason why the world's messed up. The fact that our money situation's messed up here in America. I mean, you can turn on the TV, you see the stuff going on with the banks, people stealing. I mean, it's going on or whatever. And it's because Venus is in retrograde. So you're seeing a lot of, it's Christmas time, people that don't really have the type of money they want to have this year, because, we've been dealing with this credit system for so long and not understanding our money. And we've been dealing with this credit for so long and not understanding the concept of money. And now, we got to balance. The scales of Libra have to balance themselves. So we've been taking credit, which is causing inflation, and causing all these prices to go up because people just want to keep getting more and more credit. So then now prices are deflating, but then at the same time, people's pockets are becoming empty. So it's a good time to really think about your relationship to money. It's a good time to think about what you do for a living and your concept of money. And all of this goes back to the Pleiadians. This is the lesson that they're here to teach us. The beings from Pleiades. The Pleiadians are scientists. And the one thing that the Pleiadians taught me, and I learned through the Native Americans and through my channels with the Pleiadians, is that they're interested in humans getting to a point where we can experience unlimited progress. You hear me talk about this on my videos a lot, and I need to do a video on it, but unlimited progress has a lot to do with our money. And it has a lot to do with our love relationships, and it has a lot to do with our situation in our relationship with materialism in general. See, the only way that we're going to get into this point where we really deal with unlimited progress is we're going to have to master economics. We're going to have to master how we deal with money and material things. Right now, we have a situation with money to where it's not balanced at all. We should be really on this planet. We have enough resources on this planet, but we don't want to go get them and mine for the resources. See, we don't want to mine for resources, but we have enough resources on this planet to where nobody should really have to worry about how they're going to eat and worry about basically the day-to-day things that we look at is the reason why we need to have money. Like the reason why we need to have money is because we need food, clothing, and shelter. However, we have enough resources and enough energy, because money deals with energy, to be able to have self-sustaining homes that are off the grid. We have enough energy. We have enough gold to have all money that's backed by gold, so our money isn't going up and down. See, what you have to realize about the dollar is fiat, which means that you can buy shares in on the dollar on the international stock exchange. People don't realize that. So it's not real money. It's fiat money. So, but we could be in a situation to where we could have all of our money backed by gold and it wouldn't change. It wouldn't fluctuate. It'll be consistent. Because you notice the price of gold goes up and down. It's not the gold that's fluctuating. Gold is what it is. It's the money. It depends on the stock of the dollar and what it can buy. The buying power of the dollar. When the buying power of the dollar is weak, gold is high. When the buying power of the dollar is strong, gold goes down. This is because this is fiat currency. If you're dealing with real money, these things wouldn't happen. So in order for us to get to a point where we deal with unlimited progress, this is something that we're going to have to change, people. Our relationship with money and material things. And it starts with personal. It's funny how money links right into relationships. I know I started out this video talking about relationships. You might think, now you're talking about money and it doesn't go hand in hand, but it does. Because you notice when a man gets a woman, his relationship with money changes. When he gets into a relationship. When a man gets into a relationship with a woman, he's going to start looking at money different. He might start spending more money. The way he looks at money, everything changes. And it's because the woman is more, she's the mother. And mother means matter. So a woman is more so caught up into the cares of the world. So the only way that we can change the world is to go into the earth and mine for more resources. And go and mine for gold and be able to set up transportation systems that operate off of the grid to where we don't have to pay money for electricity, because we can set up self-sustaining transportation systems based on the resources that we have in each particular nation. America goes to war, or United States, I should say. The corporate fiction of the United States goes into other countries and goes and takes from other countries' resources and things like that. It goes and takes from other countries' oil when we have oil here in America, but they don't want to put the sovereign in power. They don't want to empower the Americans, the Native Americans, the Mexicans, and people like that. They don't want to empower them and put them in power. So they'd rather go and finance these wars so they can keep this international war thing going. And they say we run out of oil, and you hear about that conspiracy. That's all a myth. We got oil banked up in the Pacific Ocean. We got gold up under this earth, all the way from Texas all the way to California. It's nothing but gold up under there. That's why when you drive and you take that drive, which I've done a couple times, you experience the shift of energy. People that's from the East Coast, a lot of you never went. You fly from New York to California. How many of you have driven from New York to California? How many of you have actually took Interstate 20 all the way from Georgia to California? If you do, you'll notice a shift in energy, and that's because it's gold up under there. And when you live in a nation, or live up on, a piece of the earth or a chunk of the earth that has gold up under it, those people that live up under or live over gold, they function differently. They vibrate differently than people that don't live in a place that has gold and different resources. So that's very important or whatever. You notice that the Anunnaki, when they first came to the planet, they came looking for gold. And you would think they would be above something. Like, these are extraterrestrials that were millions of years ahead of us. The reason why we know that is because of the fact that they were able to fly here on ships from some far out star constellation to get here. Why were they concerned with gold? It's because they knew they needed that as a resource to fix their ozone layers. I mean, there's different stories why they needed the gold. Some people say they were taking it so that they could become super beings to activate their Merkaba a lot quicker. I need to do a video on monoatomic gold, but I will. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that they knew about the fact that resources is very important. Tiamat is the most resource rich. When you call it Earth, Tiamat is the most resource rich planet. I mean, on this solar system and even in other solar systems, you got beings that come here from all over to come to this planet to get resources, to get uranium, to get lithium, to get like all the stuff that we have here in the center of the earth, all these minerals that we have here. This place is a mineral rich place, and they go and they transport this stuff back to other planets to fix problems on other planets. This is called unlimited progress. See, they're past money. You think these beings that come here, they don't need money. They're past that. So their relationship with money and material things has shifted. It's changed. So this is what Venus retrograde is all about. It's time for us to really rethink that type of stuff. Our relationship with your soulmate, your twin flame, your lover, your relationship with maybe a karmic relationship. Maybe you're in a situation where you attracted someone and it's more of a karmic relationship, which means that it might not be your soulmate or twin flame, but it's something that you had to go through or something that you had to experience to work through so that you can get to the next level. That's called a karmic relationship. You had to meet this person in order to go to the next level. But it's time for you to rethink all of those things. It's time for you to rethink how you look at money and understand and be able to teach your children so that we can have a better future. Because we might not do it. We might not be able to really make the shift and get off of fiat notes. I mean, I really understand that. But I mean, I think that the way the world is going, even a lot of the wealthy and the rich sovereigns, I mean, they're making sure that, I got to do a video on the new currencies that they're looking at, but I mean, the whole concept of central banking and one group of people controlling the person's currency, that's going out. So it looks like the extraterrestrials are really, they put down this mandate and they're serious about it. That thing that happened with Mandela, when they say Mandela died, you notice 91 world leaders went over to South Africa. Most of them were dealing in finance and most of them were bankers, and they met. And it's a reason for that, because they have to fix the debt problem, because the debt problem is what's making human beings derelict. The debt problem is what's making us not be able to experience unlimited progress. The reason why we're like hound dogs and roaches and going around robbing and stealing and killing, all of that's primitive. And the reason why we're doing that is because of money. Because of, for one thing, we don't understand money, and for one thing, it's not taught in the masses of society as far as our relationship with money. If our relationship with money changed, the whole world would change. See, we talk about God and religion and all of that type of stuff, but that's why they got "In God We Trust" on that money, because they understand that God really, on the material level, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like this, but it's money. And you have to understand what God means to them. It's gold, oil, and drugs. Because of the fact that gold comes from the earth, oil comes from the earth, and most of your drugs come from the earth, whether it's the poppy or the coke or the marijuana, all of this stuff comes from the earth. Even your pharmaceutical drugs are based in herbs that come from the earth. So at the end of the day, it's about resources. The healthcare industry could change if we changed our relationship with money. The religious institutions would change if we changed our relationship with money. But a lot of people don't want us to get off debt. So a lot of people are hooked on these fiat notes because it's like crack. And they don't want to break their addiction. And I know I'm talking about a lot here, but all of this relates to the Venus retrograde. So it's time for us to rethink that, because once the 28th hits and 2014 was getting ready to come, 2014 is going to be a year of reaping. I'm going to do a whole video on it. A lot of changes are going to happen in 2014. It's tied into what's going on television. You're seeing this stuff about the Obamacare and all of that type of stuff. All of this ties into this new economic system that's getting ready to be introduced. And it's about to get deep, so you better educate yourself. Take this time to educate yourself. You better find you a good woman. If you're a man, find you a good man and get off all of this trying to have more than one girlfriend, or women trying to be independent women and trying to just meet men so they can meet rich men and get as much money off of them and then marry them and then file for a divorce to take their money, or go get pregnant by some man they know is rich so they can go back to the state and get benefits and payments and all that. It's time to get past all of that. Because it's time for us to really, where we're going is that we're not going to be able to depend on big government and big brother for things. We're going to have to become more domesticated in how we do things. It's a good time to think about that because things are not going to change. I mean, they're not going to go back. They're going to change, excuse me, but they're not going to go back to the way they were. And a lot of the reasons why people are stressed is because of money. Jupiter is retrograde and Venus is retrograde. So even people that have money, you need to give more. It's time to give more. You know, like people that have knowledge. Knowledge is like money. You need to give more. Stop keeping all these secrets, secret societies and all this type of stuff. I'm getting ready to do a video on that too. It's time to really give more for people that have wealth and things like that. You know about how to eat healthy. You know about herbs and things like that, but you sitting on the knowledge. You don't want to tell nobody. Your grandmother taught you this stuff. The women out there, you know how to heal a man and make him better, but you don't want to tell him, you know, because you want to keep control or whatever. Like, we need to end these wars. These wars start off with just human beings that have babies with each other and experience relationships with each other. And they go to war and we just keep fighting and the wars get bigger and bigger and bigger. I could do a video and I could show you how the small quarrels that we have are linked into the global world wars that we are having right now. See, these global world wars are linked into small quarrels that we can end if we can increase our knowledge on money, economics, finance, love, bliss, abundance. So I can run my mouth forever about these things. But Venus is in retrograde and it's in Sagittarius, the philosophical sign. So I had to be very philosophical in this video to channel it in correctly. So I hope that helped for guys that and women that may want a natal reading or, you know, spiritual consultation. Visit the site if you know if it's affecting you a certain way, because it can be in different houses in your natal chart. It could be in your first house, fifth house, and that's going to determine how Venus is going to play out for you. So, I mean, just because it's a Sagittarius, that's one thing, but you need to find out where is 30 degrees, I think it was, Sagittarius in your natal chart. Where is that? And once you figure out where that is in your natal chart, then you can figure out how it will play out for you. Because remember, the houses is the stage. The sign that it's in is the character that Venus is in. So Venus is in the character of Sagittarius, the philosopher. But what stage or setting is it in? See, the character is nothing without the setting. And that's where the house is coming at. So look for more videos from me. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. And until we meet again, I'll leave you in. Namaste.